Grateful that you've come on the show today to tell us about this process, because we must tell these stories. Good morning, Australia. Good evening, America, and welcome to everyone listening across the planet. This is the Author and Artist Hour, and today we have a little bit of a different take on artist and creativity, and I'll tell you all about that in a moment. If you're listening live on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch and Twitter, we have the lovely Hannah ready and waiting to respond to your comments, questions, and give you the links for anything that we talk about today. A reminder that you can catch replays of all of our shows on YouTube, on Binge Networks TV, Hero Go Networks TV, and Zondra Networks TV USA. You can also catch up on the Toni TV channel, available on all Roku, LG and Samsung smart TVs across the planet, and also available as an app on your iPhone and Android. An important part of our show is our Welcome to Country, and this is an international movement that acknowledges the special and important role of Indigenous communities in our cultural identity. So today, I want to respectfully acknowledge the people of the Yugambeh language region on the Gold Coast, Australia, and the Nugibar people in Rockingham, Western Australia, the traditional owners of the land on which we meet and broadcast, and pay my respect to the elders past and present and all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here watching and listening today. Now, as you know, I co-host this show with the gorgeous Kez Wickham St. George. Now, I just have to say that I have been over to Perth and in particular Rockingham in the last week and had the immense privilege of spending the week with Kez and her husband Lou. And I have to say, it was the loveliest week I remember spending with anyone in such a long time. And I felt so privileged to be sharing their home and being part of their family for a week. It was a lovely experience for me. And I tell you, this week I have missed Lou's cooking, I've missed Kez's conversation, and I've missed the pleasantries of just not having to worry about my house. So Kez and I partook in an international writers retreat last week where Kez got to showcase her amazing skills as an international best-selling author, and we got to catch up with a lot of other authors and publishers over that event. It was wonderful, and I'm so glad to be back live on the show today with Kez. And before we get on with the show, I need you to understand a little bit about our beautiful guest today. Olajoké Amosun is the founder of the Nourished Hands Company, a lifestyle brand experience for busy women who want to self-care with high-quality, non-toxic, all-in-one nail treatments. And the reason that we have Olajoké on the show today is because it falls into that creative genre of women being creative with their mind, bodies, and vision. And Olajoké created Nourished Hands just recently, in recent years, because she found a niche in the market that needed filling. Now, she has a background in marketing and currently leads a team at Birch and Waite, a producer of premium sauces and dressings for the Australian food service industry. Over the span of her career as a food technologist, innovation and consumer insights specialist, Olajoké gained invaluable experience with the Australian food manufacturing and quick service restaurant industries in Australia and the UK, and was fortunate enough to work in Naples, Italy, as the Nutritional Advisor to an NGO supporting sexually trafficked women assimilating back into society. In addition to being a strategist, business consultant and mentor, Olajoké has many diverse interests and skills, most notably representing KFC on a TVC campaign that aired for 6 months on prime time in 2017 and being awarded the Best Digital Ad Award for her role in creating the KFC secret menu in 2020. And for something a little bit different on the show, we wanted to talk to this process because it really is a creative process. And as part of our highlighting of the creation, which is what all authors and artists do, we welcome Olajoké to the show. And Kez, welcome back as well. I'm going to hand over to Kez for a moment and she's going to ask the first question. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Toni. Good to see you again. You're looking well. Olajoké, lovely to meet you as well.
Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for having me on. It's an honor.
Oh, you're more than welcome. I was really interested when I read your bio about your health, your hand health care. And
Yes.
it's just so important. As women age, we obviously our hands age as well. And
Yes.
sometimes it's you got to hold your hand up when you're in a networking meeting and you think, oh, that's my hand. And it doesn't look very good. So
Yeah.
your self-care, to me, your hand represents your entire healthcare. It really does. So do your feet, actually. But
Yes.
your hands, it's the obvious thing when we use them all the time. We wave them about in the air. And so how do you feel about is self-care relevant to how you feel about yourself, the self-care about your hands?
Yeah, definitely. I think self-care has been a buzzword in the last, I'd say, 5 years, but it's something that we as women have probably been doing all our lives without really knowing it. Like washing your face, washing your hair, the clothes we wear. These are all part of self-care to make ourselves feel better, so that we can present as our best selves into the world. And I think the hands for me specifically has been something that I have chosen because it's what I've been using as self-care from a very young age. My mom was a teacher, and growing up on Sundays to get ready for the week, that was part of her self-care. Like she would paint her fingernails and her toenails. So watching her do that as part of her self-care routine to kind of feel like herself and present to the world gave me the inspiration to continue that on. So I've always gotten my toenails done. So going to the spa, going to the manicurist, because I worked in food for so long, I wasn't allowed to get my nails done because it was contaminating food, but I always made sure that my toes were done or I'd be moisturizing my hands. And so I think it was a natural progression for me when I moved away from, the food industry and into more marketing and office-based work, that I could excitedly get my hands painted, even though I always had like a clear or moisturize, or I'd shape them so they looked very clean and tidy, but to have a color and have that time to kind of stop and get them done and meditate during that time, or just have your mind clear, not have to be busy and rushing around doing something, was very exciting for me. So I definitely think the hands are something that we don't think a lot about, but it's also very important because we use our hands for everything, like, mom's washing clothes, bottles, even shaking hands at a business meeting, or just women in general just using their hands to talk. So it's very visible, and it's something that we neglect because I think the beauty industry has made us focus on other things like our hair, our face, because that's what we present, but we also don't realize that we present our hands and feet as well.
Exactly. I like what you said there about meditation, because I find myself, if I'm doing my own nails, I go into quite a meditative state, because I'm being very careful. Your mind leaves the worries behind because you're concentrating. It's like, I'm an artist as well, so when you put that brush to canvas, you lose the day.
Yes, because you really have to focus, as you said, on the stroke and worrying, like traditionally, not smudging it. And so you do go into that state of presence, which helps you to focus. And even if it's, it's a 10 minutes that it takes to dry, you've got that moment in the day rather than just rushing around, not using it. So definitely part of meditation and self-care.
Olajoké, I'm curious about how your search actually started, and then secondly, the creative process, because you've got a whole range of nail colours, and I'm curious, how did you pick the ingredients? How did you pick the colours, and how that whole creative process worked for you?
Yeah. So I'll go back to the beginning of how it started. As I said, it's like nail polish and doing my nails has always been part of my self-care routine. And I moved to London about 5 years ago. And so with that comes with the lifestyle change, having to find new places to get your hair done, get your nails done, where to buy makeup and things like that. And I think in Australia, I always struggled with the colours that were available. So yes, there were a range of colours available, but they never really suited my skin tone. And the ones that suited were usually like fluoro colours that I was not into. Like, I'm an artist, but I'm not into like, heavy colours. I love colour, but I also like natural tone. And if I'm going to work, I don't want to be wearing fluoro yellow for it to pop on my skin. So I think moving to London was a real eye-opener, because I guess they have a larger women of colour and Black community, African women. And so that was really exciting for me to be able to understand and delve into what actually suits my skin, like someone's done it, rather than having to just be okay with what was available. And so a friend of mine and I went to a nail salon, actually, and it was a salon that didn't use the traditional setup. So they didn't have water, and it was a dry salon, because the science behind that is that water expands your nail beds. And so when you put your nail polish on in the old style, when it shrinks back, it cracks, which is why your nail polish doesn't last longer. And I was like, wow, that's such a great idea. I never thought about that. But then also sitting in a nail salon, the whole time you're smelling all these fumes, and you're just like, what is in it? Do I know if this is good for me? And how, like, what are the long-term impact on us doing this every week? Your nails, when you take them off, like, they're dry, they're cracked. Sometimes I had a friend who used shellac, and the first time she used it, after she took it off, her nail fell off because it was like paper thin, because it had like just dried. And so you kind of go, okay, yeah. So you keep doing it to cover up what you've damaged, not realizing that you're doing more damage. So I think that was the beginning of me thinking about, if I'm doing this every week as well, what is the impact for me? How do I also want to live with my values of clean living, low tox living, making sure that I'm also looking after the environment and looking after my skin and leaving a legacy, not just so that I'm creating more of an issue because I want to look pretty just for the sake of my hands or my hair or my face. So yeah, that idea came of, how do I reduce the toxin that I'm ingesting or putting on my body? That's where the non-toxic comes from. And how do I not compromise on looking good as well? And that's where the treatment comes on. And how do I also prevent damaging my nails from the things that I'm using? And that's where the addition of the nourishing oils came from as well. So I think it was a kind of a step process of going, what are the challenges that I'm facing as a woman of color, and how do I make a product really for me and my friends that we can be proud of, and then like naturally it includes everyone, because I think if you include women of color, you include everyone, because it suits every skin tone. Like if you develop for a darker skin tone, then you can use it for any type of skin tone. So that was the creative idea process for the product and how it came about.
And the colors, so there's millions of different color and color combos in the world. I'm curious about, like, did you just pick the ones you and your girlfriends liked, or how did that work?
It started off like that, to be honest. Like, I mean, as you said, there's a lot of colors, but I also, then the science behind it, because my science brain comes in sometimes, is around seasons and seasonality. So what I chose it for were like your cool colors, your warm colors, and then colors that you would wear in summer, winter, and like between, and then your nudes kind of thing. So I just started with a capsule collection to cover that, because I know that these are the colors that most people would wear, even though there's like a million. Really, people only go with 10, 12 maybe, because they usually would have like a nude if they're going to a work thing or it's everyday use. And then you've got the die-hard traditionalists who love their red. So, you know, there's a red in there. And then there's variations of red. So like your pinks and your like fuchsias, and then the winter colors, which are like your, you know, the deep purple, which is almost a black, so you can get away with it as a black or purple. And then
see that.
No, it's the same color.
See?
I'll show you mine.
Matches. There you go. That's better.
And then some purples in there as well. I think it just covers all the colors that anyone would want without putting different shades in there, because really it's not necessary.
Olajoké, sorry, Kez, just one more question. When you did you get to mix the colors and play with them yourself in the process of developing the nail colors? So did you sit there like an artist and play with colors and go, oh, that's nice, or oh, that's good? Yeah?
I did. So I got a kit off the internet that had the non-toxic base, so then I could mix my colors. So I actually have videos of one of my friends videoing me, because the formulation, because what's out there right now is there are non-toxic bases, which is fine, but what's not out there is the oils, the addition of the nourishing oils and the base coat and the top coat. So all the process you do when you go to the nail salon is all in one bottle, rather than having 3 separate bottles, doing 3 separate things, costing you money, plus time, plus the environmental impact as well of having those 3 different products, and the waste that is generated from that. So I literally sat there and picked my favorite colors. I love pink, and I did a white, because I think the white really pops on the dark skin, and I formulated the right consistency of what the oils look like, the drying, to test the drying time as well, because as you add oils, that also affects how long that's going to take to dry. And looking at different shades of pigments and what would work for my skin tone, which then amazingly, because I was like, if I'm designing for women of color, how does that look on different skin tones? So I did a research survey with 10 of my friends, gave them all different colors and the same colors. So I used them all, and then I chose different people with different skin tones, like one of my Asian friends, my Anglo friends, brown skin tones, and just got them to test it as well and to see if they like the visual on their skin. And that's what gave me the confidence to say it is for all women, not just specifically for women of color, but we designed for women of color in mind, knowing that that color would suit them, not having to think about, oh, can I try this one? And then, no, it doesn't work. I need to go darker, or you need to put a different color underneath to then get the color that you want, or you have to put 5 coats because the pigment isn't right. So these are all the things that I had to do. I'm like, oh, so I have to sit here longer because I put double the amount of coats as what, it was recommended, because it wasn't tested on a darker tone. So it was about a 6-month development process, so going back and forth, and then I found a manufacturer that could mix and blend, and so they also had input into what the final colors would be based on their knowledge as well. So that was really good to get that confirmation of what I had done to what the manufacturer can do and make it consistent. So
Fantastic. Kez?
I'm just so busy thinking to myself, you've done everything to make sure that it's non-toxic. And I think women of my age that have been through the nail situation, that we've had, I have found it quite challenging because I like long nails, but I've also found that when you go on different medications and stuff like that, how does that work? You must be well aware with your training with your background that some of us are on different medications, some of us aren't. Some of us just had naturally those nails that grow in ridges and creases and everything like that.
Yes.
It's wonderful to wear nail polish because it fills up the ridges and the creases that do occur.
Yes.
But, your background in non-toxic science, where did you learn that?
So I'm a food scientist by training. So I studied a food science degree, and working in the food industry, we're all about being thorough and finding problems, I guess, and challenges, and trying to look for solutions for them, and using anything around you to test that, be it people, products, and I guess in this case, we don't animal test, so I use people to test that. And I think, it's repeating those and looking at it from different angles to see what could be perceived as a certain way. So, like, for instance, I had women of color in mind, but then I also had different tones in mind. And then, as you brought up, people with different nail textures and techniques and things like that. So all the things that were considered when I did so I initially did a survey to see if people would be interested in something like this. And when that came back quite positive, because I was quite, as a scientist, you're very shy about your results, because you don't want to claim something unless it's solid. That's the training that I've been given. And so when people were like, this is a really great idea, I was like, oh, okay, maybe we're onto something there. But for me to validate that, I really had to have a prototype, which I made, and then do another set of real life testing, which is when I had the real people test it, and test it for about 7 days. And each day they recorded for me what was happening. So I wanted to know how many coats they put on, what they thought of it. So initially what that looks like, and then the functionality of it. So go about your normal day, be a lawyer, be a doctor, be a mum, do all the washing, and give me honest feedback about what's actually happening with the product. So I was fingers crossed, hoping day 1 they wouldn't turn around and say it's chipping. And when day 3 passed and they hadn't said anything, I was like, okay, that's good. Maybe we're getting somewhere, because you don't want to be doing this every 3 days. No one has the time for that as busy women, and we've got so many things going on. If you've got 10 minutes, on the weekend, that's when you want to kind of have that time to yourself. So day 5 came and they were like, I'm starting to see itch. I'm like, that's great, because I can do in a week, you can have that cycle of, redoing it and having that moment. But it was really getting feedback from everyone. I even gave it to my brother, and he's like, I'm not using this, but I have friends in the industry who can give feedback on that. And I think that was really good to understand outside my circle of, you know, people who know me and go, we know that you can develop great products, but people who don't even know me say we love the fact that it's, you know, vegan and environmentally friendly, and it actually does what it says it does, which is, for me, as a science background and as a marketer, like, I know I'm not misleading anyone, and I know it's quality, and so it deserves that level of like notoriety as well. So yeah, and I know that it works across everyone.
Olajoké, this little nail file that comes with it's really good.
The glass nail file?
Yes, the glass nail file is really fantastic. That was my question. Is it actually glass? Because it feels like glass, but it also doesn't, like, I've dropped it a number of times and it doesn't break. So
that's really good to hear, actually. It is a glass file, and that is as opposed to the emery boards and the paperboard ones that you see around, the cheaper one, because they're literally sandpaper glued onto a foam backing. And the idea of the glass file is that it doesn't cause your nails to...
It doesn't.
Like, when you're filing it, the sandpaper emery boards, you're actually just, like, breaking your nails as well. Whereas the glass file, because they're fine particles, you're buffing it essentially. And so that helps with...
it's a much nicer... I use it now all the time because it's much nicer than traditional scratchy, and it just does such a nice job. And the other thing is that I don't always paint so accurately, and it just... It gets in there and just wipes out that bit that you get on the side of your finger as well. So I needed to comment and say, it feels like glass, but I've dropped it a few times and it hasn't broken. So is it really glass?
Yes.
And it comes with the nail polish too, doesn't it, Olajoké?
Yes, yeah. So that's the free gift that I'm providing as part of launching the brand. Just, it is, like, as I mentioned earlier, it is a self-care experience, and if you're doing it correctly, if you're filing your nails and you're prepping it nicely, then your nail polish will last and you will get a really nice finish at the end. And so it's not just about painting your nails and then you're good to go. It's about looking after your nails from the beginning to the end. So that's why we're called Nourished Hands, because with the glass file, you're nourishing your hands, you're not damaging it any further. You're caring for it in its natural state. And then if you want a color, you can put the color on. We've got the oils in there to nourish it while you wear it, because it is a water-based product. It's permeable, and it does come off quicker than your traditional nail polish, but we're okay with that because, you know, it's
I was just going to say, it actually feels nicer on your nails was the thing that I noticed. So with traditional nail polish, it tends to feel, your nails actually feel a bit dry, but with Nourished Hands, they actually feel moister. Have other people commented on that? Because that was one of the things that I noticed, was that it feels nourished. Versus a little bit dried out sort of thing.
So we have had definitely a lot of people comment on that, surprisingly, and I was like, it's not surprisingly, that's why we put it in there. Because it's an ongoing process. So if you have good healthy nails, when you paint them, it'll look really, really good, and the cycle just continues. So the fact that if you have damaged nails and you're just painting over it, you're just band-aid over the issue essentially, rather than making sure that you're just highlighting a really good healthy nails to start with.
I find it sorry, Toni.
No, you go.
Okay. So the when you talk about nail polish and nourishing the nail, what about the nail bed? That's really important as well, isn't it? The nail bed where the nail grows from. Does your nail polish nourish that as well?
Yes, I believe because the oils are in there, it will penetrate and go towards the nail oil. I am working on further developing the brand and looking at bringing in other hand care things. So like a cuticle oil and making the glass nail file a permanent thing and creating a manicure kit to start with so that people who aren't familiar with looking after their nails can have the kit to start off with that has everything in there that they need to begin their kind of self-care nail hand journey and then continue it with the nail treatments later on. So definitely the oils in there does that job. So if you don't have the cuticle oil separately, that can start your journey. And then you can also then top up with cuticle oil based from oranges or even argan oil, which is what we have in the nail polish at the moment. Yeah.
Fabulous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Olajoké, you have a background in marketing, and I'm curious to know how much this background has helped in the development and marketing of Nourished Hands.
Yes, definitely the marketing background has helped. I think what I enjoyed about my marketing training is the consumer insights and the consumer psychology and the behavioral psychology. So really understanding people and really getting into their well and looking at what their challenges are to then provide them with a solution. And I think that's what I've done here. And the challenge was me. I was like, I'm the consumer. I'm the person looking for a solution in this way. I'm sure there are more people like me. And as I talk about the brand more, people resonate with it. So I was like, wow, it's not just me that thinks like that. So I think the marketing background has really helped to fine tune that challenge and have the solution for it, to be able to have those talking points about what really resonates with people. So people in my age bracket, we're very busy. A lot of us are mums or we have careers and we don't have a lot of time, yet we still want to carve that time out for ourselves to, treat ourselves or wind down or still feel like we are someone apart from our labels. And I think a way to do that is through our nails and having that kind of feminine energy without having to spend an exorbitant amount of money or time going to a day spa and the hours that are involved in that. I think it definitely helps me to narrow it.
Discovering that one step, so it's an all-in-one. It's a 4-in-1 treatment and color, isn't it?
Yes.
From your marketing, did you beta test? Did you go to market and ask questions about nail care using your marketing background?
I did a lot of competitor analysis, actually, and that was a lot of bench top. So I kind of understood what the Australian market is like. So I knew there were a few competitors out there. This had been probably a 4-year journey. So when I started, there was 2, and now there's probably about 7 that were doing non-toxic vegan nail polish, but no one was doing the all-in-one.
That's not a lot, though.
Yeah.
It's not a lot, but it has grown. So are wanting that, the fact that we had 2 and now we've got 7, but none of them were doing the all-in-one. It was just the vegan version of traditional nail polish and a water base. So I was like, I definitely have a differentiator, because it's the other ones aren't actually solving my issue of choosing something that suits me, is good for the environment and saves me time. So that's really the differentiator compared to all the other ones out there. So I did that, and then I also purchased their products. So just to really understand what it is and how good they are great nail polishes, like they do really well. But I think for me, it was more around the access to the types of colors for me, and the post-care of nourishing my nails. Like afterwards, as you said, I felt like there was like a really nice sheen. Like it wasn't, when you take it off with your nail, like acetone-free nail polish remover, it dries it out and then it's like all white and you're like, oh, I have to now go moisturize my hands to get it all back. Whereas I feel like with ours, you don't really need to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Olajoké, one of the things that you just mentioned before was the psychology of marketing. Now, as a writer,
Yes.
one of my passions is psychology. I'm not a
Yes.
psychologist any way or form,
Yeah.
but to market my book, I have to use the psychology of who my reader is. And I find that fascinating when you said you use the psychology for your marketing, because
Mm.
it's an intent. It really is intent, finding out who your client is. So how do you work on the psychology of finding out your your client, or how your clients are going to talk about the product?
Yeah, so I used a framework when I was putting my brand together, and it was one that one of my mentors provided me. I can't remember the framework, but essentially it broke it down into putting yourself as the consumer and understanding how they live. So, where do they go to shop? Where do they go to relax? Like, what kind of jobs would they be doing? So, it was like a really I guess, targeted approach to really get into how they will behave. I feel like it was similar to what actors would do when they're getting into character, to really break down that kind of
Exactly.
character,
Yeah.
to then be able to say, okay, I know who that person is. I can embody them. So now I can then either act as them, but in my case, I can provide a solution for them. And I think that's definitely what helped to really understand the why. But really, I feel like I was the kind of persona, and I had to kind of then just bring that
Yeah.
out and go, if I was a person, a third person that wasn't me, what did I want? Like, what do I do? Who are my friends? What kind of books do I read? What kind of things do I like doing? Yeah, things like that.
Fabulous.
Olajoké, I'm also curious to know some of the marketing that you've done already around Nourished Hands because, like I said, I met you and I bought the nail polish straight away because
You
it
did.
was
Yeah.
4 in 1. Like it's
Yes.
just one step. And
Yes.
then when I actually got the products and tried them and thought, oh gosh, this feels so nice on my nails. And so I'm wondering what sort of marketing you've done specifically, or is it still word of mouth?
So word of mouth was really at the beginning.
Yeah.
And the next stage for me was really around brand awareness. So
Mm-hmm.
that was because it's an e-commerce brand at the moment. So it's all
Yeah.
online. So
Yes.
I used digital marketing. So utilizing really Instagram. I know a lot of people use Facebook, but what I found, the insights from Instagram were a lot of my consumers were coming from there, and they were
Yep.
between the ages of 25 and 65. And that's where they frequented. So I focused on that rather than Facebook,
Yes.
and did a lot of like digital campaigns on that, as well as reaching out to different salons as well, like high-end salons who
Yes.
do packages, and aren't kind of your the cheap manicures, because that's not
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
we're about, and they don't compete. So people who are looking for that experience of quality time and just looking after themselves, and yeah, that has been quite positive as well, and we're being stocked in a few salons in the Central
That was my
Coast
next
coming up.
question.
Yeah,
Mm.
and in Sydney. So one of my really good friends owns a beauty salon in North Sydney, and we're
Oh.
working through doing a June sale as part of their, marketing plan there. So yeah, just getting the word out there. We were also featured in Spa and Clinic when we launched, which is a spa magazine that's distributed around Australia. So that was really exciting, which gave us the idea to go into like the spa kind of beauty space as well as high end.
Absolutely, because
Yeah.
I was just going to say it is very much like a spa type product because it does feel like it's a really high end and leaves your nails feeling that spa experience if you get someone else to
Yes.
do it. So that's really
Yes.
exciting that you're already in businesses around Australia, and I guess that you're looking to increase that market base for in the business and salon space.
Yeah, definitely. So, want to increase our online sales, our brand awareness, and in salons because I really believe in this product. I think it's something that I wanted and needed for so long, but didn't know that I needed. And it's actually good, and it's
Yes.
good for me, and it's good for the environment. And
Mm.
it's something like my legacy of what I can leave behind is something that I've done for the environment rather than taking away from it as well. So yeah, definitely I want people to know about it and to be like a household name to say, oh, when they're thinking about their hands care, to think about Nourished Hands and to like bring awareness to your hands as one of the most important things that we use every day that we take for granted as well. And that, yeah, we should just cherish it a little bit more than we do.
And it's so important. I'd like to actually, as a suggestion, like to go into nursing homes. A lot of senior women actually have their nails painted regularly. Now, as a younger person, I nursed in an aged care home, and it was like everyone had their nails painted. All the seniors, all the really elderly women. That once a week hour they took from they took it away from the busyness of their lives, wherever it was, went into their rooms, and the manicurist would come in and do their nails. I just think it's really important that no matter what age, we take that time out. And it's also, I think you feel self-cared for. You know, I've taken that time out to care for myself. There's nothing like it in the whole world, knowing that you've you're doing something just for you. Absolutely for you, even if it's painting your toenails. At a certain age, you don't do because you can't get down there.
That is
But you know,
so
even if
true,
you take,
Kezzy. So true.
I can still paint my toenails, thank God. But I even if we could take a product that you're giving us, into a salon with us and say we need to use this product.
Oh, I already do that.
That's what I do too. I'm like, I don't want anyone else's. I take my bottle, which is the great point that you mentioned. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I get my toes done, I take it with me.
Yeah, I don't. Well, I haven't got any, but I am going to get some.
We're going to get you some.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, I think the nursing home, I think we tend to forget about our elderly a little bit, and still not and realize that they were just like us and they also need self-care. So I think that's a really good point to not forget them. Yeah.
I think deep down we never stop being girls. We really don't.
Yeah, that's so true.
It's a delight to sit there and paint your nails, and knowing that it's going to be a healthy product just adds to the fact that it's we all have to do what's good for us.
Yeah.
So look, I'm really intrigued, really intrigued by the medical side of it as well.
Yeah, definitely. I'm working with one of my close friends who is a doctor, and we're trying to get some dermatology kind of endorsement behind it, just to give it that quality cue as well, and go into that medical space as part of like mental health, skin health, like wellness and holistic care and well-being. Yeah.
Very much into the holistic stuff. It's so important. It's just so important as a human being to survive on this earth. And of course you've got the nature as well coming into it, so we're not going to destroy when we throw something away, like the empty bottle. We're not going to destroy, just add to the pile of rubbish that's already there.
Leave it a better place.
Olajoké, you've got a special offer for our listeners and viewers today. So can you tell us about that, where people can find you and how they can connect with you, please?
Yes, so I have a 10% off offer for the listeners of this show with a code Toni10, as we're on your show, TONI10. And you can find us on the nourishedhandscompany.com.au. I'm sure all the links will be able to be
Will be
put
with
up.
the show. Absolutely, they will be.
Yeah. So we've got our store on there. You can read about us and the products and have a look
see
at
the colours.
The colors that you can choose from and use that code at the checkout, and you will enjoy 10% off. And also, if you subscribe to our mailing list, you'll be able to hear a lot of the new things that are coming up. Yes, yeah, and all the certifications and the new stories or articles that will be written by qualified people just all around nail care and health.
Because nail care is pretty important, because things can go wrong with your nails, can't they, Olajoké? What sort of things have you come across that go wrong with nails? So one of them that for Kez and I is probably split nails because of the medication we take.
Yeah, nails, also fungal infections. So when you go to the salons and they're not they might clean the equipment, like it's not even about the cleanliness, but it could be you for whatever reason get cut and then it gets infected, and that creates some sort of infection, or you you touch something, or some people get at least foot, so that kind of comes from that nail health. But I think a lot of it like dryness, ridging, but it's a lot to do with a lot of impact, because if we're knocking our nails, also if we're putting chemicals on there, that also doesn't help. But what I found from my experience as well is nutrition is a big part of our nail health. And so if you're not drinking water, you're not hydrating your skin, nails, hair, because it's all part of the same system of keeping you hydrated in your body. And if you're not eating the right products, because your nail is keratin, which is the same material as your hair. If you're eating protein, then you're caring for the strength of that protein, the cell that makes the keratin to make it healthy. But it is they are dead cells anyway. Your hair's a dead cell, your nails are dead cells, but we are trying to just make it as healthy as possible, so it we feel good and it helps with our well-being. Because as they come out, if they're worse, that means there's something going on the inside, which is a good sign to make sure that we get our nutrition right, or our mental health, and make sure we're getting fresh air, getting out in nature, eating right, drinking water, because that all shows in your skin and your body.
I was just going to say, in your nails in particular, there's different deficiencies that are first apparent in your nails, like a zinc deficiency and various other diseases are evident in your nails before they're evident elsewhere in your body. So it becomes important to be familiar with what your nails look like, their health, so that you can actually pinpoint something before it becomes an issue.
Exactly. And because the bases of these are water based, so your nails can breathe while you're wearing it, whereas the traditional nail polish, they paint essentially. So you're literally blocking another avenue for your body to get rid of toxins and breathe and regenerate. So it's all about not doing, like, let nature do its process and not hinder that. But we also want to look pretty.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Olajoké,
I just find that not knowing something's like, it's like makeup, knowing something's on your body that it isn't going to affect your inner health is just so important, no matter what age you are. Trying to help the healing. I mean, I truly believe that every day we ingest toxins of some sort somehow, even if it's in the air or the water we drink. Knowing something that you're applying is just going to help. It's not going to hinder. There's such a huge thing in most women's lives these days. I mean, I've been through the busy mum stage. Now I'm just a busy author, but I still I still take that time out.
Just, she says, just.
I know, just.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
there's times you have to stand back and say to yourself
Yes.
as a woman, but not only as a woman, but I'm delighted that men are now painting their fingernails. I think it's great. I love
Yes.
seeing it, especially with the
Yes.
blue, like the blue trees that are painted over here for men with
Mental health.
mental health problems.
Yes.
I just think it's wonderful. And the other thing is teaching the kids to use the right sort of
Yes.
application, the right sort of things to eat,
Products.
drink, apply to your nails. It's wonderful, Olajoké. You've done a
Yes. Thank you.
fabulous job.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Alayoki, before we run out of time, I want to know what your big vision looks like for the Nourished Hands Company.
My big vision is to be a global brand, like a L'Oreal, essentially. I want to take a global. I think people need to be educated about the impact of the beauty industry and the products that we're using, and we need to take responsibility for that, but also do it with a little bit of flair. So that's the vision for the brand.
So you think that you'll continue to develop more products around hand care?
Definitely. So the vision beyond the colors is definitely bringing out some new seasonal colors. So maybe retire the ones that people aren't so passionate about. So I have got a new color in the works for a spring launch, which is exciting. I think you'll like that one. Like a coral color, which is a first hit tips for you guys to keep an eye out for. But as I mentioned earlier, develop those nail care products. So the non-acetone nail polish remover that helps with this as well. So you're actually caring for it rather than using a good product then remove it with alcohol-based solvents. So bringing out a full range of like a beginner kit, which you will have your glass file, the cuticle oil, and then the vision also down the track is maybe then we can go into hand creams and things like that. Kind of finish the process so you can then do it yourself at home if you want to, and moisturize your hands with non-toxic based hand care creams as well.
Alayoké, just going back to cuticles quickly, can you tell the audience why cuticles are so important?
Cuticles are important because that's the beginning of your nail health. So that's coming in from your skin, I guess. And it also helps, it protects you from getting infections or getting anything inside your skin. So that's why a lot of people would say, don't push your cuticles back because you actually need that to protect you. But then some people have overgrown cuticles, which then stops the growth effectively and you'll get ridges and things like that. But keeping that moisturized just means that your skin around your nails will be moisturized and it penetrates a lot of the good oils that you're using as well. So making sure that you're eating well will also help with that.
And does it help with growth? Does the cuticle health impact growth?
The cuticle impacts if it's healthy. So it just means that your nails can go through the natural growth process. And what happens is that if it's healthy down there, because that's what's extending, it'll mean you'll have less breakages in your tips.
Yeah. Ah, okay.
So people with like, if they cracked tips, like all the time and breakages, it means that there's something wrong in their cuticle. It's like dry or they're not having the right routine.
Alayoké, before when we were talking about competitors, you did say that you are the only one that does the 4-in-1, so nourishment, base, color and top coat all in one bottle. That's correct?
Yes, that's correct. as of today that I know
product.
of. It's just one product. So yeah, the idea is that, you know, you would usually use a base coat in traditional nail polish to help your color stay. And then you would put your 2 coats of color on. So each process is about like 5 minutes of waiting and drying time. And then the top coat is so that then the color stays longer. And yeah, I was just like, I don't have time for that.
You just want one.
I just want one thing.
Round.
One round, and I wanted to dry fast. And so that was an important part of it for me, to know that within...
I can confirm.
Within 10-15 minutes it's dry. Like 5 minutes it's touch dry, within 10-15 minutes, and shiny. And so if you want, you can put the top coat on to make it shinier. Like, no one's stopping you from that. It just means if you don't need to, you don't have to, it's not necessary. But yeah, I think the clincher is the oils in there as well to make sure that you are nourishing it as part of the water-based. So you're not then having to always put cuticle oil and moisturize your hands because you haven't done that. It's in there already. So while you wear it, it's doing its job for you.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Olajoké, we are coming up on time for the end of the show. I have no idea where that show went to today. We've had a fascinating conversation. Congratulations on the Nourished Hand Company. Well done. We love talking to women who are out there giving it a go, and particularly as I can vouch for the product myself. And we have an offer for listeners and watchers to jump on and check out the nourishedhandcompany.com, and you can get a code to give you a discount called Toni 10, Toni 10, all in capitals, number 10. And that, my friends, is our lot for this week. Thank you so much, Kez. Thank you so much, Olajoké. We will be back next week, and I'm sure our listeners will be jumping on to check out your nail polish today.
I will be.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yes. And there might be a surprise in your package as well. So make sure you order up.
Thank you.
Fantastic. All right, lovely ladies. That's our lot for this week. We will be back next week. Thank you so much to my co-host Kez, and thank you, Olajoké, for sharing with us your journey into the Nourished Hands Company. And
thank you so much.
Is it for this week. Bye for now, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm so grateful that you've come on the show today to tell us about this process, because we must tell these stories.